Hey guys, Jacob here. This is going to be a video on the best or my best talents recommendation or weapon talents, attachments, and skills to use in the raid or PvE. I'm going to get right into you guys with the weapon attachments and gear, or the weapon talents and gear, my bad. And first is going to be the weapons. The weapon attachments I recommend in weapon talents is going to be Strained. That's if you're running a high firearms build like I am. 5% critical hit damage is gained for every 10% of your armor that is depleted. And Allegro, that's another one I recommend. So you can hit the NPCs a little bit faster depending on what weapon you have. This is an AK, so it's highly recommended on AK, so you can get that RPM a little bit more. But Strained is no requirements unlocked. You can get this for pretty much anything at all you want it. There's no, you need 5 or more reds or 3 or less electronics or something like that. It's there right away, and you don't have to worry about unlocking it at all. Next is going to be the Nemesis. I think this is a really nice weapon to use on the raid or PvE in general due to the fact it does such high base damage, and you can pretty much rip through NPCs like they're nothing. You can also use this on the bosses. Some people have been using aces and eights with this to pretty much rip through Boomer, rip through Razorback, rip through Buddy and Lucy. All the bosses pretty much I've seen people use this gun before. And the holster talent does give you 25% headshot damage when scoped in with your current weapon, and that is the holster talent, so even when holster you'll gain headshot damage from this weapon when you're zoomed in with your gun. Now the next gun I'm going to recommend is going to be the or next talent, I guess you could say, is going to be Ranger. This is on a P90. You can throw this on an AR, obviously, but I cannot find my AR that has it. It's somewhere in my stash box. But every 5 meters you are from a target grants 2% weapon damage. This is really nice if you're running no electronics. Like, I'm not running really any electronics. I just have those because I think a few of them have reload speed on them or something, just to give me a little bit more reload speed for my gun. But if you're further away from the NPCs or a boss, you can essentially hit them with this talent and get 2% weapon damage. Now for LMGs, I think this is pretty much everybody knows this is Unhinged. Receive 20% weapon damage at the cost of negative 25% weapon handling, and this one is no requirements at all, just you're going to lose a little weapon handling, but you can make up for this attachment or this gun talent with attachments, so you can throw stability mods on there and actually increase your stability as a weapon and still have a decent amount of damage. Now, the next talent I'm going to tell you guys about is going to be probably not the one I'd really recommend due to the fact that Nemesis is out there, but if you guys want to use snipers, Ranger and First Blood are the ones I usually use. If scoped, your first shot fired from out of combat or after fully reloaded from empty deals headshot damage to any part of the body hit. It does require an 8x scope magnification or higher, so just remember that. But that's a talent I recommend using if you guys are going to try running snipers. Now, for the gear, pretty much essentially, to put this as simple as possible, you guys are going to want to have hard hitting on every piece of gear you can get. So you're going to need damage to elites on pretty much everything, and that's going to give you the max damage to elites on NPCs that are yellow. But make this even higher, if you guys go to your guns, there's 2 or 3 weapon attachments I recommend using for damage to elites is the C79 scope. That gives you the 5% damage to elites, and you can also zoom in with this if you really want to. And the EXP Hollow Sight, which gives you 8% damage to elites. And for the muzzle, you can use the 5.56 or the 7.62 damage to elite muzzle that gives you an extra 5%. You might be thinking 10% or this is 10% rare, may not be much, but it actually helps out a decent amount and adds to the damage to elites you currently have. And if your weapon's too jumpy, you can always throw an angled grip on there, and if you want more bullets, you can throw the extended mags for your weapons as well, like the sturdy 7.62, 5.56, or the big magazine they added for gunner, so you guys can get the 50-round mag pouch from that. Now, like I was saying about the gear, hard hitting is pretty much a must on everything. You can see I have 43% damage to elites and 10% here, so it's going to give you 53%. So if you guys can try to get a mask like this or a mask in general that has this, I recommend using this. This does give me total armor and hazard protection, so I'm protected against stuff like fire and stuff like that, and all those chemical stuff. Pretty much anything that's hazard, it will protect me from, which isn't bad. On your chest piece, you guys can essentially run pretty much. I run Vital on my chest piece to the fact I want to have a little bit more health. It probably won't really help that much, but this chest piece is a little bit better than my other one, so I'm using this one at the moment. You see I have hard hitting on my holster, knee pads, gloves, and backpack, but for the knee pads, you guys can flip this out and actually run something like Braced. Wall and cover weapon handling is increased by 25%, or Cloaked. When your armor is depleted, nearby enemy skills are disrupted for 10 seconds. Can occur once every 30 seconds. And the last one, which I think is the one that everybody pretty much uses for knee pads, and that's going to be patience. After being in cover for 5 seconds, armor is repaired by 5% every 1 second. So if you guys are fighting NPCs and your armor's low, you can just get in cover and shoot them from over the cover and gain back armor, which is 5% every 1 second. Now for the chest piece, which is the main thing I want to talk about, and that's going to be the talents I use on my chest piece. And since this is a high damage 11-4-3 build, I'm using Berserk, which is 10% weapon damage for every 20% of max armor that is depleted. This does require 7 or more, and I have 11. You guys can see that. It requires a shotgun, SMG, LMG, or assault rifle drawn, so you guys can use this with LMG and assault rifle if you want to, so you guys are not limited on using just an assault rifle. This has 20% health from Vital. This does, seem a little bit crazy. Some people think, oh, why do you run Berserk? I combine this with Strain, so if NPCs are hitting me and I kind of face tank them a little bit, I can actually get the weapon damage from Berserk. Or if you're hitting Razorback and your armor's gone and you're hitting the panels, you will actually just rip through the panels like it's pretty much nothing. So that's pretty much why I use it. Now the next talent is going to be Bloodsucker, and that's going to be depleting an enemy's armor as a stack of 25% bonus armor for 10 seconds. Max stack is 6, but you're going to need 11 defensive for this, just remember that. I've never used Bloodsucker on the raid. I know a few people who have, but I just have not yet. So if you guys want to use Bloodsucker, you can, but just remember you're going to need a higher defense requirements, which is going to be 11. Now the one that's a little bit easier to unlock, which I know pretty much way more people use than Bloodsucker, is going to be Unstoppable Force. Killing an enemy grants 2% weapon damage for every 25,000 max health. This is good for the raid, for heroic missions, stuff like that. So if you just kill an NPC, you'll get weapon damage just for that, for every 25,000 max armor you have. This does require 7 or more. It's a little bit easier to unlock than Bloodsucker, because Bloodsucker does actually require a lot. You can see this is 11 instead of 7, so I might actually probably use Unstoppable Force over Bloodsucker due to the fact that I still want to have a little bit more weapon damage. Next is going to be the main one that everybody's been telling me to use, and that's going to be Unbreakable. 70% of max armor is repaired when your armor is depleted. Armor kits used in the next 7 seconds are not consumed. This does require 11, just like Bloodsucker. So if you guys have 11, I know some people would rather go for this than Bloodsucker. So if you guys want to stay alive as long as you can, you guys can just have 70% of your max armor that is repaired when your armor is gone. So if you guys want to pretty much stay alive as much as possible, you can use this and get your 70% of max armor back, which armor pretty much just gets shredded. And you can combine this with Patience, so if you guys really want to have tons of heals from Patience, and you can have Unbreakable combined with that, you can just set and cover. So if you do get your armor destroyed, you will have it back pretty much instantly after the NPCs hit you and stuff like that. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is going to be the skills I use. In the raid, I can't recommend this anymore, and that's going to be the Revive Hive. I think everybody in the raid will recommend, at least people I play with, using one of these due to the fact if you're fighting a boss, like say you have an NPC guy, a Razorback, and you're hitting the panel and he gets down and you can't get to him, and there's NPCs over there, he can actually revive himself with this and get in cover and heal and keep fighting the NPCs. That way you don't have to worry about having to run there and pick him up instead of shooting at the panels. I think this is great for all bosses throughout the whole raid, or NPC, heroic missions in general. That way you can just revive yourself and not have to worry about your teammates trying to get you. Next is going to be the Chem Launcher, and that's going to be the Reinforcer. I think everybody should use this as well if you're trying to stay alive as much as possible. You can always use like the Defender drone, the Reinforcer, or the Fixer drone, or even the Mender Seeker. But just remember, the Mender Seeker requires the survival specialization, so you can't even use it unless you have Survivalist. But the Chem Launcher is pretty much unlocked all around for everybody, and you can also repair your armor. So if you can combine this with Patience and your Chem Launcher, you'll actually be getting a pretty decent heal over time just for setting in cover. But that's me about it, guys. That's pretty much what I just want to cover, what I think are the best attachments, what gear talents, and skills to use in PvE in general. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Division 2 content, and always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.
We had the training. We fought to protect the weak. But training doesn't prepare you to hunt someone you used to call brother. He has left us no other choice. If we don't stop him, there will be nothing left to say.